Assalamu alaikum. So today's topic is development of body cavities and diaphragm. As we know that in the fourth week of development, the intraembryonic coelom appears as a horseshoe-shaped cavity, that is a banded cavity at the cranial end of the embryo. Cranial means head end, which represents the future pericardial cavity, and it has lateral extensions which in future forms the pleural and peritoneal cavities. The distal part of each lateral extension of the intraembryonic coelom is continuous with the extraembryonic coelom at the lateral edges of the embryonic disc, that is the trilaminar disc. The intraembryonic coelom provides room for the organs to develop and move to their specific places. It allows the normal herniation of the midgut in the umbilical cord. During the embryonic folding in the horizontal plane, the lateral extensions of the coelom are brought together on the ventral aspect, that is, on the anterior aspect of the embryo, which form the ventral mesentery. The ventral mesentery degenerate in the region of the future peritoneal cavity, resulting in a large peritoneal spacey cavity for the pelvic as well as the abdominal organs. At the end of the third week, the intraembryonic mesoderm differentiate into paraxial mesoderm, intermediate mesoderm, and lateral plate mesoderm that is involved in the forming sorry in forming the body cavities. The lateral plate mesoderm is split into two layers, the parietal layer as well as the visceral layer. Parietal layer forms the somatic layer, that is the surface ectoderm, and it is continuous with the extraembryonic parietal mesoderm over the amnion. And the visceral layer, which is derived from the splanchnic layer or splanchnic mesoderm adjacent to the endoderm, forming the gut tube, that is the GIT, gastrointestinal tract, and continuous with the visceral layer of the extraembryonic mesoderm covering the yolk sac. The space created between the two layers of lateral plate mesoderm constitute the primitive body cavity. Next slide, or end of the first trimester. In this picture, we can see this is neural tube, this one is the paraxial mesoderm, intermediate, and the lateral plate, which further divide into somatic, covering the body surface area, and splanchnic, covering the body organs. Next slide. Now, what do we mean by serous membrane? Cells of the parietal layer, which is derived from the somatic mesoderm, which is a part of the lateral plate mesoderm lining the intraembryonic cavity, becomes mesothelial and form the parietal layer of the serous membrane, lining the outside of the peritoneal, pleural, and pericardial cavities. In a similar way, cells of the visceral layer of the lateral plate mesoderm, which is derived from splanchnic mesoderm, form the visceral layer of the serous membranes, which directly covers the abdominal organs, lungs, heart. In the abdominal cavity, visceral and parietal layers of serous membrane are continuous with each other as a dorsal mesentery. Dorsal means posterior mesentery, which suspend the gut tube from the posterior body wall into the peritoneal cavity, which means that gut is suspended with the help of a layer which is called mesentery from the posterior body wall, and it hangs into the peritoneal cavity. Dorsal mesentery extend continuously from the caudal limit of the foregut to the end of the hindgut. Means caudal limit कौन सी होगी? End of the stomach and the first part of the duodenum. The ventral mesentery exists only from the caudal foregut to the upper portion of the duodenum, which means that the dorsal mesentery starts from the caudal limit, means the end of the foregut up to the hindgut, but the ventral mesentery exists only in the caudal end of the foregut, means the end, the last part of the foregut to the upper portion, means first part of the duodenum. resulting from thinning of the mesoderm of the septum transversum. These mesenteries, what is septum transversum? Septum transversum is a part of the mesoderm. These mesenteries are double layers of peritoneum which provide a pathway for the blood vessels, nerves and lymphatics to the organs. In this picture, we can see, so this is the dorsal mesentery. We see that it has celiac artery which supplies the foregut. Then this one is the superior mesenteric which supplies the midgut, and this one is the inferior mesenteric which supplies the hindgut. These three arteries are the branches of abdominal aorta. So if we see this, this is diaphragm, and this one is the ventral mesentery. Okay. So, the septum transversum is a thick plate of mesodermal tissue occupying the space between the thoracic cavity and the stalk of the yolk sac. The septum does not separate the thoracic and abdominal cavities completely, but leaves a large space or opening which is called the pericardio-peritoneal canals on each side of the foregut, which means that we have two pericardio-peritoneal canals. Why they are called pericardio-peritoneal? Because they start from the pericardium and end up to the peritoneal cavity. In this picture, we can see this is heart. This one is the septum transversum. You see, septum transversum is between the heart and the liver. In this picture, we see the composition of the duodenum. This is the pleuroperitoneal membrane which contribute in the formation of diaphragm. This is the esophageal mesentery. This one is the muscular ingrowth of the body wall, and this one is the septum transversum. The three forms the diaphragm. So, when the lung buds begin to grow, they expand caudolaterally within the pericardio-peritoneal canals. As a result of the rapid growth of the lungs, the pericardio-peritoneal canals become too small and the lungs begins to expand into the mesenchyme of the body wall dorsally, laterally and ventrally, means on every aspect. The ventral and lateral expansion is posterior to the pleuropericardial folds. The pleuropericardial folds at first appear as a small ridges projecting into the primitive undivided thoracic cavity, which means that at this level the thoracic cavity is not completely separated from the abdominal cavity. The mesoderm of the body wall is split into two components, the definitive wall of the thorax and the pleuropericardial membranes. The pleuropericardial membranes are the extension of the pleuropericardial folds that contain the common cardinal veins and the phrenic nerve. Subsequently, descent of the heart and positional changes of the sinus venosus shift the common cardinal veins towards the midline, and the pleuropericardial membranes are drawn out in mesentery-like fashion. Finally, they fuse with each other and with the root of the lungs, and the thoracic cavity is divided into the definitive pericardial cavity and the two pleural cavities. In adult, the pleuropericardial membranes form the fibrous pericardium. If we see this, this is the bronchial bud or the developing lung bud, and this is the pericardio-peritoneal canal. This is the peritoneal canal and this is the pericardial canal. This one is the phrenic nerve. This is the developing heart. This is left common cardinal vein. This is pleuropericardial fold, and this is the pericardial cavity. This is the future pleural cavity. If we see this, so this is the formation of pleural cavity. This is the pericardial cavity. This is the developing heart. These are the lung buds. In this picture, we can see this is the aorta. This one is the mesoesophagus or the mesentery of the esophagus. This is the esophagus in the primordial mediastinum. Mediastinum is the space between the two lungs. This one is the fibrous pericardium. This is the phrenic nerve, and this is the pleural cavity. In this picture we can see this is the pleural cavity, this is the pericardial cavity, and this is fibrous pericardium. So how the diaphragm form? Although the pleural cavities are separated from the pericardial cavities, they remain in open communication with the abdominal cavity by the way of pericardio-peritoneal canals. During further development, the opening between the prospective pleural and peritoneal cavities is closed by a crescent-shaped fold, which is called pleuro-peritoneal fold, which project into the caudal end of the pericardio-peritoneal canals. Gradually, the fold extend medially and ventrally so that at the end of the seventh week, they fuse with each other and with the mesentery of the esophagus and with the septum transversum to form the diaphragm. Hence, the connection between the pleural and peritoneal portions of the body cavity is closed by the pleuroperitoneal membranes. Further expansion of the pleural cavities relatively to the mesenchyme of the body wall adds the peripheral rim of the pleuroperitoneal membranes. Once this rim is established, myoblasts originating from the somites at the cervical segment 3 to 5 penetrate the membranes to form the muscular part of the diaphragm. So, in this picture, we can see this is the pleuroperitoneal fold, this is pleuroperitoneal canal, this is septum transversum, this is aorta, this is esophageal mesentery, this is esophagus, this is septum transversum, and this one is the pleuroperitoneal membrane. And these are the myoblasts or muscular ingrowth from the lateral body wall. They all form the diaphragm. So how it develops? Thus the diaphragm is derived from the following structures: the septum transversum, the two pleuroperitoneal membranes, somites at cervical segment 3 to 5, mesentery of the esophagus, and the most peripheral part of the diaphragm is derived from mesenchyme of the thoracic wall. So what is septum transversum? It is the part of the mesoderm which forms the central tendon or the crura of diaphragm. The somites from C3 to C5 form the muscular component of the diaphragm. Mesentery of the esophagus form the crura of the diaphragm. The most peripheral part of the diaphragm is derived from mesenchyme of the thoracic. Basically, the diaphragm is a curved musculofibrous sheet that separates the thoracic from the abdominal cavity. It pairs by the structures that pass between these two regions of the body, that is the thoracic viscerals and the abdominal viscerals, primary muscles of the respiration, dome shaped and consists of a peripheral muscular part and a central tendinous part. The muscular part arises from the margins of the thoracic opening and gets inserted into the central tendon. Attachment to the thoracic wall are low posteriorly and laterally but high anteriorly. Rarely affected by the intrinsic disease, complex embryological development is subject to a number of congenital anomalies. So, the diaphragm develops from four sources: septum transversum, pleuroperitoneal membrane, medial, dorsal portion of the primary esophageal mesentery, marginal ingrowth of the. We see previously this picture. This is the pleuroperitoneal fold, this one is the pleuroperitoneal canal, and this one is the septum transversum. This is the mesentery of the esophagus, and this red one is the muscular ingrowth of the body wall. Septum transversum develops at the third week of pregnancy. Mass of the mesoderm situated cranially to the pericardial cavity contribute to the ventral portion like the sternal and costal part. Sternal is the sternal part and costal means the rib parts. Pleuroperitoneal membrane is a paired dorsolateral portion fuses with the dorsal mesentery of the esophagus and the dorsal portion of the septum transversum to complete the partition between the thorax and the abdomen. It forms a primitive diaphragm at the 7th week of. The medial portion of the diaphragm formed by the medial dorsal portion of the primary esophageal mesentery fuses with the septum transversum and pleuroperitoneal membrane. The curves of the diaphragm develop from the growth of the muscle fibers into the dorsal mesentery of the. At 9 to 12 weeks, the source is contributed by the marginal outgrowth of the body wall. These contributions from the thoracic myotome means muscles, contain nerve fibers of the lower 6 or 7 intercostal nerves, distribute the sensory fibers to periphery. At the fifth week, nerve fibers from the third, fourth, and fifth cervical segments of the spinal cord grow into the septum transversum by the pleuropericardial membrane to form the phrenic. At the 8th week, diaphragm attached to the dorsal body wall at the level of L1, first lumbar vertebrae, giving rise to the dome contour character of the diaphragm. We can see this is the membranous pleuroperitoneal membrane. This is the mesoesophagus and this is the septum transversum. These three things form the primitive diaphragm. Now, how it innervates? During the 4th week, the septum transversum lies opposite cervical somoid and the nerve component of the third, fourth, and fifth cervical segment of the spinal cord grow into the septum. At first, the nerves known as phrenic nerve pass into the septum transversum through the pleuropericardial fold. This explains why further expansion of the lung and descent of the septum shifts the phrenic nerve that innervates the diaphragm into the fibrous. By the 6th week, the developing diaphragm is at the level of thoracic somoid. The repositioning of the diaphragm is caused by the rapid growth of the dorsal part of the embryo, means vertebral column, compared with that of the ventral part. By the beginning of the 3rd month, means the 13th week of pregnancy, some of the dorsal bands of the diaphragm originate at the level of the first lumbar vertebra or the L1. The phrenic nerve supplies the diaphragm with its motor and sensory innervation. Since the most peripheral part of the diaphragm is derived from mesenchyme of the thoracic wall, it is generally accepted that some of the lower intercostal nerves contribute sensory fibers to the peripheral part of. So, these are the clinical correlations. Diaphragmatic hernias. Hernia is the abnormal protrusion. A congenital diaphragmatic hernia, one of the most common malformation in the newborn, 1 in 2000 babies, is most frequently caused by the failure of one or both of the pleuroperitoneal membranes to close with the pericardio-peritoneal canals. In that case, the peritoneal and pleural cavities are continuous with each other along the posterior body wall. This hernia allows abdominal viscera to enter the pleural cavity. In 85 to 90% of cases, the hernia is on the left side. An intestinal loop, stomach, spleen, and part of the liver may enter the thoracic cavity. The abdominal viscera in the chest push the heart anteriorly and compress the lungs, which are commonly hypoplastic. A large effect is associated with a high rate of mortality, means death, from pulmonary hypoplasia and dysfunction. Occasionally, a small part of the muscular fibers of the diaphragm fails to develop, and a hernia may remain undiscovered until the child is several years old. Such a defect frequently seen in the anterior portion of the diaphragm, which is called parasternal hernia. Para means around the sternum. A small peritoneal sac containing intestinal loop may enter the chest between the sternal and costal portions of the diaphragm. Another type of hernia is esophageal hernia. Is thought to be due to the congenital shortness of the esophagus. Upper portion of the stomach are retained in the thorax and the stomach is constricted at the level of the diaphragm. Thank you.